What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Judgment hand cannon, which was re-released, if you will, with the new loot pool from the Prophecy dungeon, which is now a 140 Stasis Burn in our Kinetic Slot for this hand cannon. Used to just be a kinetic hand cannon without any burn on it, so this got a little bit of an addition with that, in my personal opinion, giving us some nice perks for the PvE realm specifically with that stasis synergy. So we will get into everything about this, starting with our origin trait as well as where to farm this weapon. So with the origin trait right here, as well as farming the weapon, it comes from the last encounter of the Prophecy dungeon, which is the Kell of Echoes, that final boss. Once you defeat it, when you go into the emissary room right there, you get it out of the final chest, which is the same as the Darkest Before. So go farm that the next time it is out for this banger weapon. As for the origin trait right here, we have Crossing Over, which if you've watched any of the Prophecy videos I've put out for these weapons, it is a S tier perk in my opinion, maybe an A tier origin trait for the PvP realm, but is just overall very interesting. This weapon has increased range and handling from the top half of the magazine, and then the rounds at the bottom deal more damage. So this thing has its potential in both PvP as well as PvE. One of the most interesting, and I think just all well-rounded origin traits they've come out with. Now, when we talk about PvE, we're going to go with a major spec as our weapon mod on this, giving us that 8% increase damage to majors. So that includes champions and mini bosses. You could go with minor spec if you want, if you're doing some like GMs or something like that, but I still think you can get by without minor. Would definitely not push into the boss spec with this, just because you're not really doing damage with your hand cannon here, so I would definitely go with major. Now, as for the masterwork, I know that this is PvE, but I still went with range because the other options, as well as its base stats for this weapon, give us about 55 in all of our categories for range, stability, handling, and reload. So I felt like juicing this with the 10 in range gives us that 54 that I'm talking about. So it feels like it well rounds this weapon perfectly for anything you have to go into for PvE. Now, a little bit different than some of our other god rolls, we're gonna have sights on this hand cannon, which if you played back in the day, we had some sights that were just absolutely insane and made weapons S tier just alone. So first off, we have Steady Hand HCS, which is a hand cannon sight. Now we get increased stability and handling with this, so gives us a bunch of different stats that you can see right there. Handling, stability, as well as aim assist. Definitely just kind of rounds out the weapon, like I said, giving us about 55 in all of those categories. So it is a jack of all traits right here. The other option that we have kind of in the same boat is True HCS, which we have increased range, stability, and handling. So it kind of gives us a little more in some of those categories. So we're at almost 60 for our range and down a little bit to 50 for stability and handling. So that's why I like personally the other site that we went over, but this is a good option as well. Now, in the magazine slot, got a couple options. Tactical mag gives us that increase to stability, reload, and magazine size. So our magazine goes up to almost 43 with this. Get plus 10 to reload, plus 5 in stability. Rounds out all those stats like I was talking about. Feels better than most of the other magazines that we have besides this one right here. Appended mag is your other option. It gives us a couple more bullets in the magazine, but we do lose that stability handling again. So if the weapon's feeling good without those, you could go with this for the extra bullets, but I personally like that tactical mag instead of appended. Now, in the third column right here, which we have that Stasis Burn on this weapon instead of just being purely kinetic, so keep that in mind as well. The first perk that I have is Demolitionist. Kills with this weapon generate grenade energy. Reactivating that grenade ability reloads this weapon from reserves, so when you throw out that grenade, you're getting a nice reload on the weapon. Very good for keeping damage up on those majors, keeping the ad clear potential of of this weapon up, and that stasis synergy as well. So you can see primary power kills drain that 10% of your grenade energy, so you need about 10 kills to fully refill your grenade energy with this weapon. But it pairs perfectly with this, especially with our fourth column. We got one perk that you will see in a second. Demo with this feels just lovely. The other option that we have is Headstone in this third column. Gives us that nice stasis crystal on precision final blows, so this gives us the potential for a little bit more stasis synergy, and when we collect or shatter those stasis crystals, we can get stasis shards if we have that subclass on, giving everybody some melee energy. So it is a nice option for the PvE realm as well as Demolitionist. Now that fourth column perk that I was talking about is Adrenaline Junkie right here. This weapon grants increased damage and handling from final blows with grenades or this weapon. So when we're getting our grenade back with Demolitionist, getting the reloads because of Demolitionist, as well as getting this Adrenaline Junkie to proc, you can see these stacks that we can have up to ×5 at 33% for getting that nice increase to damage and handling. So it is a pretty nice combination of perks in my personal opinion. They were just made for each other. Now the other option that we have in the fourth column is Timed Payload. Love this on hand cannons. Is not on too many of them either. So projectiles attach to the enemy and explode after a short delay. You can see the different damages it does down below. We get a 12% increase to precision damage, 16% increase to non-precision damage for PvE. So one of the best perks in my opinion for a hand cannon, kind of like explosive payload, but in my opinion a little bit better. So definitely be grinding for this one as well. Now last but certainly not least, for the PvE side of things, we got Vorpal Weapon right here. Gives us an increase to damage against bosses, vehicles, guardians in their super. So we get that 20% increase for this primary weapon right here, which is a good amount of extra damage that we'll be able to do. So it's my third option out of the three that I covered in this fourth column, but it gives us the potential for a lot of different options for roles for the PvE side with this Judgment hand cannon right here. Now, when we move on to the PvP side of things, for the mod, I'm going to go with Icarus Grip on this. You could put on Quick Access Sling, anything you really want, but I like the plus 15 to airborne effectiveness since it is only at 10 in its base stat. I like that little bit of extra because I do like to jump around and shoot with this, especially with one of the perks that we have on in our fourth column. As for the weapon masterwork, I would like to go with range on this so we can stack out the range of this 140 as far as we can for the PvP side of things, just because everything is reigning supreme with 120s, hard for 140s to keep up, as well as pulse rifles. So definitely try to get this maxed out as range super high as much as we can. For the first hand cannon sight that we're going to be using is Fast Draw right here. It gives us that increase to handling and stability. Not my first choice, but it is very good with plus 15 handling. You can switch on and off of this very easily. Plus we get that plus 5 to stability as well as aim assist. Now the sight that I personally would go with is Hit Mark right here, which gives us that increase to range and aim assist. It just feels a little bit better, like I said, to compete with those 120s and pulse rifles. It gives us about 70 in the range, so it feels nice and crispy at a distance with the Hit Mark HCS. As for magazines, going with accurized rounds for sure gives us that plus 10 to the range, like I said, with the masterwork, trying to stack this out as high as we can. So we're getting that nice 70 in range like I was talking about because of the sight as well as the accurized rounds and the masterwork. Now, helping that in the third column, we got two options. First is Slide Shot right here. Sliding partially reloads the magazine and gives us a boost to range and stability. Lasts for about 3 seconds with plus 20 to range, plus 30 in stability. So it turns this thing into a laser beam with that stability being at about 75, as well as our range going all the way up to 90 with the Slide Shot activated. So it is a beautiful combination right here, and probably my favorite perk for this column. The other option that you do have right here is Moving Target. Increase movement speed and target acquisition when moving while ADSing. So you can see we get get a 3% reduced movement speed penalty from ADS and strafing. Passively grants us 10 aim assist while ADSing, so gives you a little bit more accuracy. If you tend to be playing on control or something like that, you're missing your shots with the flinch. If you're feeling like that is happening, go with moving target over slide shot, but I feel like that plus 30 instability is almost better than the moving target penalty and everything like that with strafing and the aim assist buff. Now, in the fourth column, we got 3 options. First one is opening shot. It gives us improved accuracy and range on the opening shot of the attack. So it is kind of crazy because we get plus 20 to aim assist, plus 25 to range. So this weapon is getting that 100 range when we pair slide shot with opening shot on that first shot. Now, I know that's not always, but it is kind of crazy how far that weapon will shoot as a 140 with that opening shot, and you're kind of closing ground after that anyways most of the time. So it just feels like the best combination in my opinion with opening shot and slide shot. But we do have 2 very good options as well besides opening shot here. The first one is Eye of the Storm. This weapon becomes more accurate and boosts handling as your health gets lower, a pretty big staple inside of the PvP realm. So it is a very good addition to opening shot, but I would choose opening shot over Eye of the Storm if you have the option. Now, last but not least in this, we're going to go with timed payload. So we get a nice detonation, which is pretty good in my opinion inside of the PvP realm. It is a no damage really change for the PvP side of things after that detonation, but you can see that we get a split of the damage. It just feels pretty nice inside of the Crucible as well, but I like opening shot over this, so that is what I would personally go with, is that slide shot opening shot. But time payload is a very good option as well. So this weapon has a lot of different options in both of its categories for PvE, PvP. I think it is a better PvE weapon, giving it about a 4.2 in that category for PvE side of things, with that demo adrenaline as well as the stasis synergy of headstone. And then in the PvP side of things, giving it about a 3.8. Definitely better 140s out there in my opinion, and the 140s, like I said, reign supreme, so would go for that little bit lower 3.8. Still very good score, still feels very, very good, especially with the 5 out of 5 god roll. So again, I appreciate all you guys for coming back to the channel. It means a lot. If you guys would like, hit that subscribe and like button, helps out the channel a bunch, and smack that bell if you would like to get the notifications for these guides right here, as well as our builds, anything like that for Destiny, as well as our Pal World guides. So I appreciate all you guys. Again, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.